Hey YouTube, it's Dizzy again. Nala just made herself comfortable, and looks like we could, well, okay, not so comfortable. But we're still gonna have a chat as she makes up her mind, but let's not mind that. So, welcome again. So, we're gonna talk about how I got started with cars. So, I guess to begin with, I was never really into cars as a kid, to really summarize it, but I do enjoy the little Matchbox cars. Enjoyed those, and I think that's really what got me started. Although I wasn't really necessarily good as a kid with naming all the cars, but what truly kind of made a spark was in 2002 with the release of the Dodge Viper SRT10. I want to say that's exactly when it was branded as the SRT10 at that time. But that Viper really resonated with me because I was always a fan of animals as a kid, and just, you know, all the little fascinating things that you could think about with animals. And knowing that a car had such a heavy influence from really such a cool creature really resonated with me. So the Viper really was the one that made me very curious about cars and how much attitude a car can have. So that's really how the interest of cars even got planted in my mind to begin with. But eventually, when I was in high school, started hanging out with a lot of kids that took automotive class, and they really got my brain pumping onto what what kind of cars I would like, stats, general brand names and models, and just getting to know the technology behind cars, what makes them fun to drive, how far technology has come from the 50s and the 20s, and even from the 1990s onto that time at which I graduated, which was in 2005. So really, that was around the era of which the RX-8 was popular, the 350Z. But we had a very high obsession with the 90s sports cars. So your 300ZX twin turbo, your Supra turbo, your RX-7, and on. It goes from there. 3000 GT, of course. Skyline GTR. How could we forget that? And from there on in, it just became this pursuit of knowledge with anything automotive related that I could get my hands on, or using the internet at the time to look up. I remember remembering stats over engine specs for a Honda Civic in 2002. I mean, it didn't really mean anything to anyone else, but out of nowhere, I guess during that year, I just became this obsessed with how much horsepower everything had, how much torque did it have, what RPMs did it have it. And although I can't remember all of it now, at the time when I was reading on it, I just became this little soft encyclopedia of all those stats. I was just fascinated with it at the time. Although all my friends call me a geek or a nerd over it, but I was happy to try to sink my brain into something and just be fascinated by it. Yeah. So that's how that all started, and thanks to my influences at the time, especially with school, my first car ended up being the 1986 Mazda RX-7. So It was blue. Um, older than me by a year. And really, that car was constantly a project for me. Something was always happening that it needed work on. Pretty finicky car. Of course, rotary engine. But I loved it. It was my first car. It was the one. The one I thought I would keep forever. The one that even moved me to poetry. I probably should have dug up that article that I wrote all the way back then. I believe I still have it, but I had to dig it up, and maybe if someone is interested, I'll dig that up and read it to you sometime. My handwriting is atrocious, but we'll try to get through that. But her name was, or I named her Roxanne. Don't know why, because although the song Roxanne was popular with people that were a little bit older than me, I just thought it was a nice name for, an RX-7 that started with R. I need to get away from the ums and the you-knows. Give me time, and I'll get over that. Nala's doing good. So with the RX-7 came just a general approach toward cars as far as babying a car would go. I didn't want nobody eating in it. Although I ate in it all the time, but I didn't want other people eating in it and making a mess because they didn't care about my old car. But I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it thoroughly. From the buzz of the engine to, and of course it was a stick shift. I have a long history of cars, and most of them have been stick shifts. So really, a major point of owning that car was just experiencing everything in a new way. Understanding the intricacies of the rotary engine, being a first-time driver and a first-time stick driver at that, at least on my own car. My friends and my aunt let me practice on theirs, but you really don't get the true experience until you do it for yourself. That was interesting. A lot of jerking, a lot of stalling, a lot of rolling back without really noticing that I was rolling back, and much to the horror of some of my friends. I eventually figured that out and got more aware of my surroundings and, just got better, in time. I don't think nothing about that came naturally to me or from a talent kind of way, but I wanted to just do it so bad that I just willed myself to pick up the skills necessary to properly drive a car and to properly maintain one, at least to the best of my ability at the age of 16. But I was fascinated with it. And the RX-7 was a very different type of car. Spun out a couple times. Just doing stupid stuff. Speeding. A whole lot of stuff that at 16 to 17 years old that you just shouldn't be doing. But I was very fortunate to not get pulled over or ticketed. Except for one time I was actually trying to chase this other car, which I believe was a Prelude, an old Prelude. And we both got pulled over after going over an overpass. And we were accused of racing, but we were not even close to each other, and I was losing to begin with. So for me, it was just going fast at that point. But as soon as we saw the cop, we both pulled over, and it was a weird interaction, but we both ended up just getting let go. So, yay. Either way, it worked out just fine. And that was the funnest time that I had in my life. Seeing other people that were rotary enthusiasts, come up and just talk to me about the car. Especially people that, I really appreciated people that treated me like I didn't know anything about it, because I ended up always just about learning something new about the car that I didn't get just from reading a book or reading an online article on it. I just try to take up as much information as I can from different people and get their experiences and just let it grow in my own experience as well. So let's cap this video for now. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the story, and now let's probably gone now, but we'll pick up maybe on the tail end of how the RX-7 was not sold but traded, and we'll begin with the 300ZX. All right, guys, take care.